Good morning to all, bonjour Marseille, and greetings to all of you that are watching throughout Europe and Africa. So I am Julie Lanckriet-Goerig, CEO of Emerging Valley, and I will be today moderating this debate with my colleague Philippine Leclerc. I'm very glad to welcome you today for this promising panel on how to service last mile customers, insights from African Agritech and Greentech startups. A very complex and interesting issue indeed. It is one thing to be a successful company or startup in Nairobi, Lagos, or Dakar. It is totally another to bring the service, the quality, and the affordability while keeping your business afloat in rural, remote, and secluded areas. Scarcity of resources, global lack of public infrastructures, and relative exclusion of the grid and of electrical connectivity, whether in agriculture, education, or health, public and basic services have often been forgotten by policymakers in those regions, resulting in growing inequalities between rural and urban populations. To bridge this gap, technology and innovations powered by digital could offer some solutions, notably through prompting quicker, smoother, and more transparent relationships between the countryside and end customers, thus offering win-win alternatives. We are here surrounded by experts, day-to-day actors from the field that are accepting the challenge with impactful and successful projects. Let's hear them, let's hear the testimony, innovations, and solutions to bridge the gap and service last-mile African customers.
Thank you, Julie, for this introduction. My name is Philippine, and I will co-moderate this panel with you, Julie. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here and participate to this workshop that tackles the last mile services in the sector of Greentech and Agritech. We're going to start with going over our panelists and ask them to introduce themselves and their business in 2 minutes stop. This will enable our audience, which is from Europe, Africa, and Marseille, to get to know you a little bit more in details. So starting with Charles BWANIKA, you are leading the farm kiosk startup. Can you tell us what do you do and where did your idea come from? Charles, we don't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry.
Perfect.
Thank you, Philip, and everybody who is organizing this call. Charles BWANIKA is my name. I'm from Uganda. I'm a social entrepreneur, and I'm the founder and CEO of an agribusiness social enterprise that is called Farm Cusick, which is working here in Uganda. And we anticipate to spread our wings to the rest of East Africa with time to come, because we believe in our idea, and we believe that the problem that we're solving is quite huge and needs urgent attention. So basically, what does Farm Cusick do? Farm Cusick, being an agribusiness social enterprise, we work with rural, especially small farmers in the rural communities of Uganda, and we link them with the agribusiness value-added services, on top of linking them to market using both our web portal and a mobile app to link them to these services. What do we do with the mobile app and the web portal? We profile different value chain actors in the agribusiness space. For example, agronomists, vet doctors, but also people that are not utilizing their land out there in the rural communities. And we link this land to the young people that are joining the agribusiness space every day. So Farm Cusick is out to bridge the digital divide gap that has been widening every day, especially the fact that COVID-19 came in. It just expedited the whole situation. So we're working with rural farmers, especially the smallholder farmers, to see that they get value for money when they invest in agribusiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles, for this introduction. Also working with farmers is Rhona BIRABWA from Untitled Food Store. Can you present your business and what do you do? What was the issue you wanted to tackle by creating your startup?
Oh, yes, thank you so much. My name is Rhona BWANIKA from Uganda, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Untitled Chapter. So basically, Untitled Chapter is an agriculture innovation. So we realized farmers really didn't have a lot of market for their produce. So what we do is we rent to them and sell to them, and also and also make sure they get solar powered cold chain technologies. These are like solar powered refrigerators or cold rooms. So we sell to them these cold rooms so that they safely preserve their produce after harvest, so that we can do away with these post harvest loss. This is a big issue in Africa because farmers go through a lot to dig, to the farming, all those issues. Then they go through a lot of challenges when they are selling their produce. So they go through issues with post-harvest loss, middlemen. So we realized this was a big issue. So we were solving this issue. So we came up with solar powered cold chain technologies to help farmers do away with post-harvest loss. And we also realized this wasn't the only thing we could do. So we had to link them to buyers. So we came up with also a chatbot where we link farmers to buyers in order to sell their produce. So this one we're trying to do away with middlemen, the middleman challenge, and also help them get um what we are helping them get in a way of, how you can try to get customers, and then you try to, you know your produce is not selling and everything. So we're trying to do away with that issue of unsold food. So when COVID came in, we realized this was not the only issue we were to solve. So we realized there were very many people lost their jobs during the COVID challenge, the COVID-19 issue. So farmers were having a difficult time to sell their produce, and also market vendors. So we realized we had to sell also these solar powered cold rooms to market vendors and to farmers. In this way, they can actually do away with post-harvest loss as they sell the unsold food, as they preserve the unsold food, and also market vendors able to preserve the unsold food. We also realized we had to come up with something to help people who cannot afford this fresh food that is a bit pricey. Of course, fresh food is a bit pricey. So we realized we had to we had to come up with something that is going to help people who are the low income earners or people who had lost their jobs. So what we do is we link these farmers and market vendors to customers who have little money, so they're able to buy this food, which is still fresh. Okay, it's not yet bad, but it's not so fresh. I don't know if it's like, if food can go bad in 2 days. So if the food gets on the first day it's not really sold, so that unsold food we sell it to customers at a half price of the unsold food. We do this through our chatbot. So this is basically what we do. This is what we are doing. We're trying to help the population get fresh food, as we help farmers do away with post-harvest loss, get market for their produce and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rhona. So we're now switching from Uganda to Kenya, not far actually, with James from Usalama Technology. So James, can you present your solution and tell us why did you created it, and also who are your targeted users?
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you very much. My name is James Chege from Nairobi, Kenya. I would describe myself as a serial entrepreneur. This is because of the number of activities we're engaged in. I'm the marketing director of Usalama Technology Limited. So Usalama Technology Limited does a few things. The first is we have a flagship platform, the Usalama app, available on Play Store and on USSD channel. Its primary goal is to connect victims of emergencies to emergency service providers at the touch of a button. So we link victims of emergencies in aspects like security and medical emergencies to trained and expert emergency service providers at the touch of a button. This came about as a result of personal experience where myself and my co-founders have been victims where we've required professional emergency assistance in Kenya. But due to the difficulty in accessing these services, we were forced to resort to alternative means. This is through our family and friends and other means. So we came up with a platform that brings together an aggregated list of emergency providers in Kenya who are providing the services at affordable rates, or in some cases even for free. And then we've connected them to the end users via mobile app and USSD channel. We've done this for a couple of years and have been able to reach in excess of 30,000 people who've called for emergency services. So other than the traditional emergency service provider like ambulances, we have on board alternative emergency service providers. In Kenya, there's a means of transportation known as tuk-tuks, which are ideally modified motorcycles, which have a body to them. We have a network of these on our platform. We also have the USSD channel that allows people in the bottom of the pyramid to be able to call for help from these tuk-tuk ambulances and be transported to their nearest emergency service provision centers. Other than that, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw an opportunity. There was a total lockdown in how people access their places of worship in Kenya. This was for a period of time, and then the government started to contemplate on how to reopen access to places of worship, because in Kenya, religion is something that's critical, where over 80% of people identify and actively participate in worship, in-person worship. So we came up with Usalama Kanisani, which is a USSD-based platform that is able to allow people to book for the limited number of seats at their places of worship just by dialing a simple code. This it grew quite rapidly. Currently, we have over 300,000 people, 300,000 congregants in the country using our channel to book access at their places of worship. We have since extended the service and reincorporated it into a company known as Jumuisha Limited, which now allows for people to not only book, but also to make their donations through the platform to their places of worship, for the places of worship to be able to manage their payments. And beyond this, we are also in the process of now having the platform be a platform to extend financial services to individuals who are using it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, James, for presenting your solution. Very interesting. To finish the general presentation of our panelists, we're going to Nigeria with Eugene. So Eugene, could you tell us what do you do at Osomobegbe Global Ventures Limited, and where did the idea come from?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, it's perfect. You can go on.
Oh, okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Eugene, and I'm the founder of Osomobegbe Global Ventures Limited. We are based in Nigeria, in Kaduna State, Nigeria, precisely. Basically, what our business do, we are primarily focused on rendering of solar drying services to smallholder farmers, especially those who are into cultivation of perishable vegetable products. And we do this because we want to enable them cut down on post-harvest losses on their products. Because one of the major problems facing these farmers in Nigeria, they do not have access to readily available and affordable facilities that will enable them process their harvested products, as well as store these products so that they can be able to sell them when the time is right. So what we did was we came up with our solution so that we can be able to bridge this gap for them. And also we are particular about climate change and environmental pollution. We are really passionate about clean energy. So that was why we tried to look for a solution such that the solution is a clean tech, but at the same time is solving a problem facing agriculture, especially in Nigeria. So we started this organization in 2016. We started by first manufacturing and selling these solar dryers at a small scale. But later on, we now realized that rather than selling these machines, some of these farmers cannot be able to afford them. So what we did was, rather than sell the machines, we said, okay, why don't we improve on our model by rendering drying services to these farmers? So what we do is simple. We set up a drying facility whereby these farmers can bring their products after harvest. Then they have it dried for them and bagged. Then we charge them a specific fee for the service. We also render market linkages to them as well. So for those who have the products in excess and maybe they do not have access to the market to know where they can sell the excess that they have, they can bring it to our facility. We process, we sell, then we give them commissions on the project itself. So currently, we've satisfied over 300 smallholder farmers. And we're looking at seeing how by 2022, we can be able to increase this number to 5,000 smallholder farmers that we'll be working with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eugene, for your presentation, and thank you all for introducing us to your very interesting businesses. So now we're gonna turn to the core of our session with some in-depth question. So I'm gonna let Julie ask the first questions about the models and the relevance of your last mile solutions in your different sectors of activity. What are their opportunities and what the obstacle they face right now?
Thank you very much, Philippine. So turning first to Charles, you decided to use a digital platform to solve many issues faced by farmers. We've already talked quite at length of those issues. We heard about storage access issues for farmers, also about selling the product at the right time. So how important would you say is the digital right now to solve those issues? And in your opinion, what are the benefits and opportunities that digital can bring to your sector?
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Well, let me give this discussion a little bit of a perspective. The world is expected to be an inhabitant of over 10 billion people by 2050. And from a Ugandan perspective, by 2050, will be a population of over 100 people. And it's a fact here in Uganda that Uganda is one of the youngest populations in the world. Actually, it's the second youngest population in the world. Now, this ever-bulging young population is not going away, and we need food to feed them. And the pressure is on us to produce more food, more innovatively. It's a fact also here in Uganda that 80% of our land is arable, but only 30% is being utilized. And the only way we can engage these young people is by mechanizing and digitizing the agribusiness space. As COVID-19 has shown us that most of the operations going forward are going to be digital, and we cannot exclude the agribusiness space. So Farm Cusick is already part of this equation, providing solutions to this young population here in Uganda. One of the major challenges here in Uganda when we're interfacing with these young people and the rural farmers that we engage with and the people that we work with in the communities, they have expressed an issue that we need to pay attention to. And it is one of the areas that Farm Cusick is partly paying attention to. These people need to embrace these emerging technologies so that they can get to understand the value and the good of embracing these emerging technologies, but also embracing the climate smart farming approaches. And these people in the communities do not know all these things that we are talking about. So they need a serious revolution to go out there in the communities and sensitize them about what we are facing. The population is ever bulging, and we need food to feed this ever bulging population. And I've said earlier, we need to mechanize and digitize the agribusiness space. So how does Farm Cusick work? And how does Farm Cusick support farmers? One of the things that we do when we're engaging with these farmers is that we train them in specific structured trainings. One of the things that we train these farmers in is digital literacy, so that they can understand the use of, how they can use, for example, our mobile app and the digital space that we are creating. They need to understand and they need to embrace it. It is a fact here in Uganda that 600,000 young people are entering the labor market on an annual basis. And it's these young people that we are targeting to see that they embrace our technology and they roll it out in their communities so that we can produce the food that we need to see in years that are coming ahead. One of the key areas that was highlighted in Uganda's Vision 2040 that was rolled out way back in 2013 was digitizing the agribusiness space. That was a vivid point that was highlighted in the Vision 2040. And I was recently tracking, the milestones that we've reached as a country. We're still lacking, but the efforts are there. And it encourages us young people that are innovating solutions that are trying to tap into these opportunities to keep going. And COVID-19 has just been a blessing in disguise for innovators like us because, the world has never been as open as it is today because every innovation that we can think of is valid in its own way. All you need to do is to go out there in the communities, test it, and interest it with the people that you're trying to target. So as Farm Cusick, we believe digitizing the agribusiness space is the way to go now and going forward. If you are to embrace, if you are to address the issues of feeding this ever-bulging young population with time
Many
to come.
thanks,
Thank you.
Charles. Many thanks for this very in-depth answers. So we heard that digital is one of the solution. I'm turning to Rhona now. Do you agree, Rhona? You also rely on digital solution to bridge the gap between farmers and market opportunities. And I also want to turn to the business model question. Could you give us some elements, maybe, on how to keep your business profitable when you're dealing with rural areas customers? We know that power purchase there is quite limited. So do you have some general figures, maybe, that would help our audience understand how to build a sustainable business model in rural areas?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Charles, for that. Thank you, Charles, for that. The fact that you're also an entrepreneur in Uganda, it's definitely what we need right now. So our business, Onachill, basically, when we rent out these solar powered cold chain technologies to farmers, we sell, we rent, and then we make. So we sell these solar powered cold chain technologies to farmers upfront, so they can either buy them at upfront, then we can also rent them out. So we realized when COVID came, there was no way people had money, so we had to learn to rent these cold rooms to farmers on a seasonal basis. So that with time, we realize we can earn commission. Like when when the farmer rents out these cold rooms, they when let me say if they rent out 10,000 kilograms of food in a certain shelf, so they give us a percentage of that amount. So that is how we get a commission. So when also through our chatbot, whenever we make a sale on our chatbot, when a farmer sells their food on using our chatbot, we earn a commission of the sale. So that is how we get our amount of money. That is how we make money. That is like our revenue model. So it's not so hard to make money. Like here, when COVID came in, like Charles said, things became easier as we had a lot of lockdowns around. People were not able to go to their farms to get food. People were not able to, go to markets to get food. So this digital space came in. The chatbot was available. So people would order for food from farmers, and the food would get to them. The only challenge we had was the only challenge we still have is I heard James talk about USSD. So we are reaching to making USSD because most farmers here in Uganda, as you know, you know how chatbots work. So we realize farmers, not many of them have smartphones here in Uganda. So we are reaching to come up with a USSD, of which we have to, pay a certain sum of money to the government so that we use these codes that farmers can use their button phones and easily reach out to the chatbot and connect to their customers and everything. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rhona, for your insights on this point. I'm now turning to James. We know that bringing digital solutions to marginalized population is a team effort in which major players must be involved. James, according to you, what are the roles of public policies, mobile money, operators, telcos in this process? And do you work with any of those aforementioned actors? And if yes, if no, why and how? James, the floor is yours. But I cannot hear you. Maybe unmute yourself. Go on. Okay, I think you, James.
Yes. Sorry about that. I was having a slight glitch. Yes. Thank you very much. I hope I'm very audible.
Yes.
Yes. So the importance of public policy in delivering these last mile solutions. I'll go back to what was just mentioned before by Rhonda. Um, the high cost and barriers to entry for some of these technologies to be able to be used. For instance, with USSD in Kenya, we have the same regulatory challenges as in Uganda, where you have ideally in Kenya, we have the Communication Authority. They have a statutory fee, which is not quite affordable to many people operating startups. For us, we've been fortunate enough to be able to have the premium rate subscription license granted to us, so able to access directly some of these things like USSD. Beyond this, there is need for collaboration between private and public sector in order to deliver these solutions in a better manner. For instance, one of the things we've invested in as a company, as Usalama Technology Limited, is in another startup that is delivering vaccination tracking to the lowest point, to the last mile vaccination tracking, and this is being done by USSD. Some of the challenges we did face was uptake and resistance by the public sector in order to adopt the solution that was being proposed. Sometimes this comes in because you find that the government, there's some people who are beneficiaries of those shortcuts in terms of making money from the corruption that comes in about with this. Sometimes just general resistance because they want to control access to information. In Kenya, we are a bit lucky. Some of the systems we are working with the public sector are open to interface with. For instance, with us, we are connected with the DHIS and HIS systems. These are the national health database systems where we're able to plug in and push our data via APIs in order for them to reconcile and be used by the government to make decisions. We are also able to receive information from this in order to allow us to better plan on how some of our targeting will take place. This gives us access to government resources. For instance, we have access to county government ambulances, which we're able to connect victims to. So if you need a county government ambulance, you're able to access through our platform at no fee, and you'll be successfully taken to a government institution for you to get the assistance you need. Something else that's been mentioned is the mobile money, which is something that's quite big in Kenya. We have the largest penetrator in the Kenyan market being Safaricom, who are doing 98% of all mobile money transactions in the country. For us as a company, we do have partnerships with M-Pesa for the different platforms that we do offer. Of course, there is the direct integration for us to process our payments through Safaricom. And beyond this, we have other partnerships where we are able to have additional services. So through our platform, you're able to access things like microinsurance, which is provided in partnership with Safaricom. How this works is very simple. Unlike the conventional medical insurance, this is more of a direct transactional product where if I am to get medical services, I'm able to get an overdraft from Safaricom on M-Pesa via our platform, and I can use this to pay for the medical services. So in case you, for instance, ask for an ambulance in a case where you need to access a hospital, we're able to connect the victim again with a a bit of overdraft financing at an affordable rate, where they're able to access the funds, get the assistance they need, and then bear the burden of making the repayments after they've gotten the assistance. So through such partnerships, it's allowed us to rapidly scale, where the impact of our work transcends the core of what we set out to do. Remember, the initial was just to get people access to ambulances. We've now delved and branched out into different things, where we are doing things like increasing the trackability of how vaccines are delivered to the last mile. We are offering financial services through the microinsurance, through the digital platforms like M-Pesa, to ensure that once you get assistance from your medical service provider, you're not left with the burden of making the payment. This translates again into our revenue model, where we've been able to get these services affordably. And with the overdrafts, we do make some small amount of money on every time someone requests this type of facility. So as a company, we've leveraged on the partnerships. Remember, Safaricom is more of a monopoly in the country. So they do operate almost like a government institution, because you don't have too many options to go to if you need to have mobile money integrated. So the same way we approach our negotiations with Safaricom is the same way we've approached our negotiations with the Ministry of Health, where we've focused on delivering in line with their vision and mission, and delivering our products in a way that we do enhance the impact that they have, without having too much of interruption into the way they normally do their day-to-day activities. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's really interesting to see how you managed to scale your business through partnerships and learning more about your business model. So now I'm turning to Eugene as well, going back to the business model question. Would you say there is one kind of business model for last mile services in rural areas? And according to you, what makes the difference between urban customers and your customers? And how do you and your startup are bridging the gap? Eugene, the floor is yours.
So, concerning the question asked, I would say there's quite a difference when it comes to the approach that is being used to service both customers for both the rural and the urban settings. Now, based on our solution, I would say if you look at it from our own perspective, the primary focus of the average rural farmer of perishable vegetable products, the farmer is concerned about preserving these products. So more of service rendering is what they are looking out for. But when it comes to the urban farmers now, what they are really concerned about is the finished product. So what we do is, for the rural farmers, we render them, when we go with our business model, what we focus primarily more on is on service rendering. But when it comes to the urban farmers now, or our urban customers, what we give them is the finished product. Now, when it comes to the processing now, I'll use the business model as an example. When it comes to the processing, each time we go to these communities and we conduct community awareness, which is for the small, which is for the rural communities, what we tell them is that we have a solution to the problem that you are facing as regards to being able to preserve your products. Because many of these farmers are basically, the model they operate is B2B. So it's more of a business to business. They bring the products to us to process for them because they in turn want to take these products to the market and sell. But most of our urban customers now, they just want to consume directly. So for the rural farmers, we render them services and tell them we have a better solution that can be able to help you preserve your products, the color, the taste, and the quality. While for the urban farmers, when we market to them, or the urban customers now, when we market to them, we tell them we have hygienically dried and organic products that are healthy for your consumption, that does not contain any form of preservative. So these are the basic two models that we use in our operation. So it just seems for the same solution, but different approach for different customer base. I'm talking about the technology involved because I think it's one of the places I really want to focus on as well. We are not just looking at the solution from the aspect of just servicing these customers alone. We're looking at it from the aspect of impact, even how it affects, because we're really particular about the environment. of the primary drivers. We look at how we can inculcate them into our solutions and how they can be part of our value chain from the aspect of even product manufacturing down to service rendering and even to sales of the finished product. They are key drivers in our solution. Thank you.
Many thanks, Eugene. So we're heading to the final part of our debate now, and I want to step up a bit, maybe. And since time is running, I ask our final panelists to be very concise about the answers. A common point of all of you today is that you are all part of an acceleration program, the SIBC, Social and Inclusive Business Camp, that's run that used to be created by the French Development Agency and that we are now co-producing with Emerging Valley and other experts partners. So Charles, maybe could you present the program to us, what it has brought to your project, and maybe more specifically in the light of the discussion that we just had concerning last mile challenges.
Thank you, Julie. I felt privileged when I was admitted into the SIBC program because I thought actually when I was applying for it, I felt like this is one of the programs that as a young entrepreneur that I need to be part of so that I can get to tap into the networks of the sector experts that I've engaged with in the course of the training ever since we started was it in September? So I would say the program has positioned me and my social enterprise in a position that is going to help me to reach out to my target clients in a more innovative way, because the experts have shared with me the nitty-gritty of how to improve what I already have and what I can do to reach out to more target. I would say the program itself has positioned me as an entrepreneur to see that I scale out my innovation to the would-be users of my innovation. But I also want to be thankful to the organizers of the SIBC program for the time and all the resources that they have shared with us ever since we kicked off the program, because I'm implementing some of the basics that have not been implementing in my project here, and they are actually turning out to be game changers into the operations of farm kiosks here, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm looking forward to the summit and the boot camp, if I'm to say. Thank you.
Many thanks, Charles. So my last question would be maybe a conclusive word. So I ask you, James, maybe now that you have heard all of our panelists today, all the issues that have been tackled around services to the customers in difficult areas, you're working yourself with emergencies. What would you say to help and to give some tips to your audience today, to the startups that are maybe watching us from Africa, from Europe, from Marseille? What tips would you give them to have and to keep in mind to build a business model that is working when you work in those kind of sectors?
Yes, thank you. So the first thing is to remember your intention behind doing everything that you're doing. So your vision and mission and whoever is your target beneficiary. This will enable you to very quickly understand their needs, draft and create products that are directly tailored towards getting to them, and then also generate value as a result for yourself in terms of generating income as a business. The next thing is to keep in mind the need and the extreme importance of having partnerships. Partnerships have been critical for us as an enterprise in order for us to rapidly scale and to reach out to hundreds of thousands of beneficiaries across the country, and in some cases even in other countries other than Kenya. So partnerships with private and public sector partnerships. This is partnerships with fellow startups and also partnerships with government institutions, as well as established corporates. The next thing is to always keep learning, keep innovating, and keep experiencing different things so that you're able to evolve your product in order for it to better suit the market needs that it's intended to suit. In Africa, of course, we have challenges with financing. So as you build your product, you have to find ways to bootstrap and to get your product sustainable before you get to a point where you're able to raise financing from venture capitalists or in terms of grants and such type of financing. We have to demonstrate impact as startups in order to attract investment. And this is something that you have to keep at your forefront as you continue growing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, James, for those conclusion remarks. This panel has been really interesting for us. We are glad to have heard about your business, your solutions, and your intentions and missions. Just as we said during the panel, you are the new entrepreneurs focusing on social impacts. You try to bridge the gaps between the farmers, the value chain, the buyers, the customers with innovative solutions. For most of you, you're using the digital, and as Charles said, digitization in agribusiness is the way to go, given the new challenges we're facing nowadays. Also, I want to go back to what some of you said about partnerships that are really the key elements to help your business scale, how important it is to have a different approach given your different customers. So again, this panel has been really enriching, very insightful. We're very glad to have you here today on the Emerging Valley Summit and have you here in this panel. Thank you all for participating in this session, and I hope you have an amazing experience during the summit, and I hope to see you guys very soon. Hope you have a very successful journey ahead of you after that. Bye-bye.